You have one new message. Translating. Disney and Pixar's Hoppers is now available on Disney+.
You could say that again.
Critics are calling it Pixar's funniest movie ever and a wildly entertaining ride. Blizzard Potato. It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Now we party.
This is incredible!
Wow, I am clearing the rest of the day.
Disney and Pixar's Hoppers, now available on Disney+. Rated PG.
Buy me love. Money can't buy me love. Buy me love. Money can't buy me love. That's true. But it can buy you a prison cell.
You are now listening to The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay on Spotify. A podcast aimed to uncover and share the stories behind heinous and insane acts that have been overlooked or overshadowed by mainstream media, getting justice for the voices that can't speak.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay, and I am the host of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. A podcast designed to focus on crimes committed in the Black community that you don't hear about in mainstream media, giving a voice to those victims that have otherwise been silenced. Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast with me, Kay, the Texas girl in a Georgia world, baby. Ladies, how y'all feel? Fellas, y'all all right? It is Monday, March 9th, 2026, and your girl is feeling much better. Listen, this whole household had that damn flu, but we are all feeling good. I'm tired, I'm run down, and I'm exhausted. But when I tell you, I was going to make sure that I took care of y'all with these extra episodes. So y'all don't be coming for my neck, okay? Because I gave y'all 2 extra episodes for my damn tardiness. Now, come Sunday, you only gonna get 1 damn episode with your spoiled asses, okay? But all in all, I'm feeling really good. My birthday is coming up on Wednesday, so I'm excited about that. Now, I'm not going to tell y'all my age just yet because it ain't none of your damn business. But I am very excited to celebrate. So just know that I am saying thank you in advance because I am going to unplug. I'm going to lay up and watch In the Heat of the Night on Tubi until I fall asleep. Then I'm going to wake up and do that shit all over again. Okay. Listen, I do plan on celebrating. I will be doing that at the end of the month. But for right now, this is how I'm going to celebrate. I know it sounds boring and old, but damn it, I'm tired. I need a break. Anyway, what y'all sipping on? Now, as y'all know, I am not sipping on anything alcoholic because, I got this little bun that I'm taking care of. But I did make me a little mocktail. So I got some orange juice with some pineapple soda and I mixed it up together with some little grenadine. And it does taste kind of good, if I do say so myself. But, oof, do I miss the real thing? So I've got that, and I've got my Oreo Muddy Buddy Chex Mix. Ooh, that stuff is so good. And I got some hot tamales to go with it. So, I'm good to go. But enough of all of that. Let's go ahead and get into this episode because I know that's what y'all waiting on. Hop on in, buckle up, and head to the gas station so you can fuel up with some of this expensive ass gas thanks to the Orange Man. But we're going to ride back to 2011, a time when Chris Brown had us chunking up the deuces, and some folks was hating outside the club because they couldn't get in. With that Look at Me Now, Baby Buster had everybody trying to spit that verse. Soon as I heard, let's go, I was on it, okay? Beyonce proved that girls ran the world. Octavia Spencer told her boss to eat her shit with that pie. And well, Tiana Taylor delivered a classic one-liner that still makes me giggle to this day with that Byron in. But in Phoenix City, Alabama, 2011 was the year that took this beautiful and adoring mother. Y'all ready to ride? Y'all know what time it is. Let's get it. This week's case involves Yamisha Thomas, the victim, Jerry Wayne Foster, accomplice and witness, and the infamous murderer of the week, Sylvester Davis Jr. Yamisha Brown was born January 2nd, 1981, in Tuskegee, Alabama, to Edna Brown Johnson and Jesse Bird. She came from a very big family, and I do mean like very big. Like, I don't understand how this woman's uterus was still intact, but nevertheless, Yamisha had 7 brothers. Yes, you heard me correctly. 7. Anthony Dix, Nathan Dix, Quentin Brown, Jesse Jernigan, Xavier Jernigan, Tyrone Sly, and Andre Horace. Listen, I don't even know where she measured up in that group because Jesus Devontae Christ. But then on top of that, she had 3 sisters as well. Antoinette Jernigan, Sonia Jernigan, and Denise Dykes. That's a lot of fucking kids. I can only assume that, like, her parents both had kids from separate relationships or something, because that's a lot of fucking kids, okay? Now, what I do know is that she was her mother's only daughter, so it's kinda making sense that, they had kids and together, yeah. But anyway, she was her mother's only daughter, so I know she had to be tough growing up, especially when you're in a household full of boys. But, be that as it may, Yamisha was very well loved and adored and cared for. She and Edna had a really close relationship, especially since, she was the only girl in the household. And on top of that, she was so pretty. She attended Kendrick High School where she made good grades. And, it was like she was like the typical average high school student. She was quick to make friends, particularly boyfriends. Now, Yamisha and Edna, like I said, they had a close relationship, but Yamisha did keep certain things from her mother, like the fact that she was having sex, but she had to fess up and tell her mama what was going on because when she was 15 years old, she get pregnant. hmm And of course, naturally you're going through issues because you're a teenager. You're barely a teenager. And then boom, you up and pop a baby out of you. So, March of 1996, Yamisha gives birth to a beautiful baby girl, Quintina Natasha Antoinette Brown. Now, I was looking to see if like she stayed in school or if she dropped out. That part I could not find clarity on. I'm assuming that she stayed in school because she did, go and get her degree later on as far as like her bachelor's. So I'm going to assume that she either graduated or, got her GED. But even though the relationship didn't work out with Quintina's father, they did the best that they could as far as co-parenting, I mean, but they could only do so much for their age. And Yamisha, she leaned on her mother a lot for help. But, she and her daughter Quintina, they were close. Like, even though she was raising her, they kind of grew up together. Still, Yamisha was relying on the help of her mom and everything, but she was holding it down and she was doing good. Now, her mother worked at Fort Benning and got Yamisha a job working there as well so that she can make her own money. So she's working and she's making good money and she's taking care of her daughter. And it's been a few years and she's really, getting herself out there, getting herself together, coming into her own. But Yamisha's beauty was always getting the attention of somebody. And in 2001, she got the attention of a handsome soldier from Fort Benning. And he was really trying to get at her. Like, his efforts were successful because not only did he bag her, but he bagged her because, honey, he got her pregnant as well. And in 2002, she gave birth to her second daughter, Quintavia Milford. So pretty much once he found out that Yamisha was pregnant, old boy was like, I say watch me dib. Like, he was gone. Okay. But, after a bit, he tried to make it work for the sake of their daughter. They tried the whole relationship thing. It didn't last too long, though. And ultimately, the two called it quits. But Yamisha didn't stay single too long. She was a young and beautiful girl. Yeah, she had 2 kids, but let's not act like these men will not jump at the chance to be with a single mama. It's because they know that these mamas is out here holding it down. Amen. We know how to handle business. So it was no surprise. And she ended up catching the eye of a man named Ricky Thompson. Pretty Ricky, what they called him. I had to do that, sorry. Baby, he laid that game on her thick. And before you knew it, the two of them are hot and heavy. They're seeing each other. They on the phone all night, kissing and hugging. They all over each other. She's all, that's my man, my man, my man. And he's all, there goes my baby. He was loving Yamisha. And the two of them were so in love that they went and got married. And she became Yamisha Thompson. Now, he became a great role model for her daughters, a great stepfather. They're all in love and everything, and stuff is going good in the beginning. Now, y'all know what they say. When you say I do, you see a person's true colors. And woo, child, if I tell you nothing else, y'all know I know what I'm talking about right there. And so Yamisha started to see things about Ricky that she didn't know. Like, he had a dark side to him. And as good as a stepfather as he was to Quintina and Quintavia, he was very suspicious of Yamisha and her so-called wandering eyes. Like, he just knew that she was cheating on him, and he didn't like that. He didn't like the idea of her disrespecting him. He didn't like the idea of, niggas looking at her. He didn't like the idea of her, even so much as thinking of looking at another man. And no matter what she told him, it just fell on deaf ears. Like, at one point, this man got so mad and had put it in his mind that Yamisha was out there fucking around. He gets so upset, he cuts the power off in the house in the wintertime, leaving Yamisha and her daughters to freeze. Like, as if he was punishing her for what she didn't do. Like, it's okay if you want to punish her, but don't punish them kids. Like, come on. So the two of them ended up eventually splitting up, and Yamisha went on to live her life. Now she's a mother of two, and she's separated from her husband, and so Yamisha's single yet again. And she would talk to her friends about how she wanted to have a better life for her and her kids, and how she wanted to marry a man that was, out there making money. And then in 2007, when her and her friend Sherelle were at this party, she meets the love of her life and her demise, Sylvester Davis, aka Baby Jr. Now, Sylvester was a lot like her in a lot of ways. He was local, just like her, grew up in Columbus, Georgia. Now, she grew up in Columbus, Georgia, but he grew up in Phoenix City, Alabama. He was also well liked, just like Yamisha. Everybody that knew him had something good to say about him. And so when she saw him, she told herself, "Oh, I got to have him." He was popular, had money. So she got all the details on him and found out that he had an auto detailing company out in Phoenix City, Alabama. And she also heard that he had a really nice whip. So when she saw that he was driving a Hummer, she knew she had to hook him. And so he sees her and he comes over and he introduces himself to her, and she's smiling and showing all 32 teeth, and he's charming her, and they exchange their information. And the cycle of romance begins. They're talking every day. He's taking her out on the town, lacing her with gifts, and they're in like this full-blown relationship. He's spoiling her and the girls, buying them whatever they want, taking Yamisha on trips out of town, dinners, parties, you name it. And the two of them are practically joined at the hip. Everything is great. You know, Baby Junior seemed like a gentle giant. They were together all the time. But again, y'all, there's always another side to the story because Baby Junior has some issues, okay? He wasn't just, a businessman that had an auto detailing shop. No, no. He was lacing her with gifts. Want to know how? Homeboy was also a drug dealer. Now, he had a history of drug charges, weapons charges, and assault. And he was on probation. Even though, he gave her whatever she wanted and showered her with gifts, that stuff eventually catches up with you. You know what I'm saying? And that bad boy that she likes so well, he showed himself a lot of times. He would get very jealous of her and her flirty ways. And admittedly, Yamisha flirted. She flirted a lot, actually. Her friend said that she would typically get bored with relationships, kind of fast and find somebody else that excited her. This was part of the reason why her marriage with Ricky didn't work. So, y'all see where I'm going with it, right? Kind of sounds like he was telling the truth a little bit. But Sylvester didn't excite Yamisha, anymore. Like he hurt her. And a lot of times when he was upset, they would get into arguments and stuff, and Sylvester would become physical. He would hit her, choke her, whatever he could do to get to her. On more than one occasion, he pulled his gun on her. Yeah, that sounds like love. Like the nice and sweet man that she thought she had, yeah, he wasn't. But yet and still, Yamisha continued to stay with him because when it was good, it was great. And when it wasn't, well, there was just so much toxicity and abuse when it came to their relationship. Like Yamisha damn near died on several occasions because of this man. Okay, so in January of 2009, Yamisha and Baby Junior get into this argument about how he feels like she's disrespecting him, right? So they're going back and forth, and he's like, I'm so sick of this shit. Every time I turn around, you got another nigga in your face. Every time I turn around, you talking to another nigga. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it ain't even like that. Where are you getting this from? Like, yo, you bugging? Like, you out your mind? Ain't nobody doing nothing. Like, I've been with you all this time since 2007. What are you talking about? And so they're going back and forth, back and forth. This man pulls out his gun and starts pistol whipping Yamisha. He's hitting her over and over and over with the gun and knocks her unconscious. Now, rather than make sure that she's okay, like a decent human being, Sylvester picks her up, loads her up in his truck, drives her to the landfill, dumps her like trash, and leaves her for dead. The entire fuck. Now, thank God Yamisha survives. So when she comes to, she's looking around trying to figure out why the hell she's in a freaking landfill. And she remembers what happens. And so she manages, to get help. She gets to the hospital where she's checked for her injuries. Now, initially, she pressed charges on Baby Junior and he was arrested. But before it could go to court, Yamisha turns around and drops the charges, deciding, to work things out with him. Maybe it was the lifestyle that she was accustomed to, or, maybe he told her he was sorry and it wouldn't happen again. But between the time that they met in 2007, there were 7 assault cases from him putting his hands on her. That's not normal. But yet and still, she stayed with him. Now, despite all of that happening, in 2011, Yamisha and Baby Junior decided, hey, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and move in together? The fuck? But I mean, they had been together for like 4 years at that point, 4 toxic years. But hey, I mean, if you like it, I love it. So they end up getting a house together in Phoenix City, Alabama. And Baby Junior wasn't supposed to be in Phoenix City. He was supposed to be in Columbus because he was still on probation. But I guess he didn't think that his probation officer needed to know that little tidbit of information. But he damn sure put his name on a lease in Phoenix City. And he also, made sure that he, continued to lace her up with gifts. Like his gifts were twice as loud as his anger when it came to Yamisha because he ended up lacing her with a brand new whip. Yamisha had a red Chevy Avalanche with 20-inch rims, the works, okay? She even had a custom license plate. I'm like, okay, he hooked that bad boy up, you know what I'm saying? Now, Remember how I said that her ex Ricky said that she was a little bit too flirty? And he wasn't necessarily wrong, okay? So Yamisha had started to get tired of Baby Junior's ways, and she started confiding in another person by the name of Rashad Maddox. Now, he was a soldier at Fort Benning, much like a few of her exes, and she felt like, things were refreshing with him. He was kind, he was smart. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. But, he was all of that. He was handsome. Like, it was something new, it was something that she enjoyed. But Baby Junior was pissed off knowing that his woman, was seeing another dude. Like, he's watching her every move. It's not like she's broadcasting it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, like, clearly, you got eyes. You can see what's going on with your girl. You know what I'm saying? It was obvious. So some time goes on and it's Easter weekend, and Yamisha decided that she wanted to hang out with her girls. And so Baby Junior, he's kind of still irritated with her because he knew that she had been talking to another dude. But little did she know he had been following her around and watching her while she was linking up with old boy. And so when she told him that she was gonna go kick it with her homegirls, he was like surprisingly cool with her. He was like, well, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and get your number changed. And so she was like, okay, I guess so. And so she tells him, well, let me take the girls to my sister's and we can go ahead and go. So she hits up her sister Yolanda in Opelika, and she, is like, hey, sis, I need you to keep Quintina for me. And she agrees, which was weird to me because I'm like, okay, if I'm not mistaken, Quintina was like between 13 or 15 at that time, but I guess whatever. So she drops off the girls and she goes back to kick it with Baby Junior before she goes to kick it with her girls. Only that never happens. So after they little day out, he takes her to the Boost Mobile store. She gets a new phone and, he makes her change her number and whatever, whatever. Then he goes and he makes it rain on her at Rainbow. Jesus, be offense. But he makes it rain at Rainbow and then they go and get something to eat. And while they're getting something to eat, it get a little heated. And he brings up the whole, okay, who is this nigga? Why are you talking to him? All of that. And Yamisha's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Junior. I'm tired. We done had a good day. Like, why you bringing this shit up? What's really good? And he's like, nah, fuck all of that. They are causing a scene in this restaurant, okay? He's going to get to the bottom of it. So they get to arguing. He just starts yelling at her. I'm so sick of your shit, Misha. You don't think I know what the fuck you doing? You don't think I know you fucking around on me? So they go back to the crib. They still going at it, still arguing. And he's like, I'm sick of your shit. And she's going right back at him like, nigga, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. I told you I ain't here fucking around on you. And he was like, yes, the fuck you are. That's why I made you change your motherfucking number. Because I know your ass was out here bopping around on me. And they still going. They still arguing. He ends up throwing her to the ground and he starts choking her, squeezing the life from her. And when he sees that she's no longer moving, he wraps her up in a rug and throws her in the back of his Hummer. Now, this happens on April 22nd, okay? So let's rewind a little bit. Right before they go to eat, April 22nd, 2011, Quintina is waiting on her mama. And it's been a little bit. So she calls her and she was like, but mama, what time you coming to pick me up? Where you at? And Yamisha tells her, baby, I'm gonna go pick up your sister first, and then I'm gonna come get you, and then we gonna go home. Because Easter was literally the next day. Okay. So she's trying to make sure that she can get her babies dolled up and everything and, make sure that they good. So like I said, this phone call happens right before her and Baby Junior go out to eat. So after he has now wrapped her up in the rug, Quintina is still at her auntie's house. And she's like, okay, mama said she was going to go pick up my sister and come get me. Where the hell is she at? Time is going by. She still hasn't heard from her mama, still hasn't seen her mama. So she starts calling her phone, but now she's not answering. And then the phone starts going straight to voicemail. And Quintina's thinking that, something's wrong because her mama always answers for her. So she calls her grandmother Edna and she tells her that, she hadn't talked to Yamisha, who had told her that not too long ago, she was like, hey, I'm coming to get you. So, Edna's like, okay, baby, don't worry. Let me call her. Let me see where she's at. So she calls Yamisha's phone and she doesn't get an answer either. And initially, she's not too concerned, but it's getting later and later and she's still not answering. So she calls Baby Junior to see if he knows where she is. And, he kind of puts her mind at ease a little bit. Like he picks up and he was like, oh, hey, Miss Edna, she said she was going to be hanging out with her homegirls this weekend. I'm sure she good. She probably just got busy and lost track of time, whatever, whatever. And it sounds reasonable enough to Edna because, she knew that she would go kick it with her friends. But she's still a little concerned because she's like, well, how you forget your kids that fast? Like you just told Quintina you was coming to pick her up. And so she tells him, well, she's supposed to come get the girls and she hasn't done that yet. So I'm just trying to make sure she's okay. And again, Baby Junior, he's reassuring her, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you, she did just change her number. So, you might still be calling her old phone number. Why don't you try calling her new number? And so he gives Edna the new phone number. And, she's starting to feel a little bit better because she's like, I'm tripping. It was just a phone number. That explains why she hadn't heard from him. So she hangs up with Baby Junior and she calls the new number, just knowing that she gonna answer. But she doesn't. And now Edna's gut is telling her, okay, something wrong with my baby. Why is she not picking up? Like, it's not like her to flake on her daughters. If Yamisha saw that her mama was calling her like that, especially as close as they were, if she couldn't answer it, she would definitely call her back, especially because of the fact that, she needed to keep in touch with her about the girls and stuff. So she's still not getting a response. And at this point, Edna decides she ain't wasting any more time. And she calls the Phoenix City Police Department to put in a missing persons report. So they come out and Edna tells them everything as to, where Yamisha might be and who she's normally with. Naturally, the first place that they go look is with Baby Junior at their home. And Baby Junior is talking to the officers and he's telling them about how, he was the last one that was seen with her because the two of them went to Columbus, Georgia to go shopping. And so he was like, yeah, I took her over to Rainbow in Phoenix City. Then I took her to the Boost Mobile store, got her a new cell phone over in Columbus. We went to L&S restaurant for some soul food. Sounds like they had a good, fun-filled day. And so the officers are taking everything in and they're telling each other like, okay, let's do a little bit of a background check on Mr. Davis just to be on the safe side. And that's when they find out about all of the charges that this man has had. But, Sylvester, he's not giving them a reason to think anything was wrong. He seems to be acting calm. Like Yamisha was gone all the time. He didn't appear to be out of sorts or anything. And he tells him, he's like, listen, she got a lot of family. She told me she was going to go be hanging out with her girls before Easter. Maybe she just, I'm hoping that she just with one of them and just lost track of time or something. But, at this point, the cops had already checked with her homegirls. And of course, Baby Junior knew this, but, he just had to play the part. So he's like, oh, you did? And they're like, yeah, we checked with the homegirls. Ain't nobody seen her. Ain't nobody talked to her, since she had originally made plans to meet up with them. So we know she's not with them. And at this point, there's an official police report that's put in. So a missing persons report has been created, and now everybody is looking for Yamisha. Her family and her friends are all on the hunt for her. And so Baby Junior hits up Yamisha's brother, Nathan, because he's like, fuck, now all these cops is in this shit. Now they about to be looking for this girl. Fuck. So he hits up one of her brothers, Nathan, and he was like, hey, man, you want to go help me look for her? And, Nathan's with it. He's like, hell yeah. All right, let's ride. So they're all over Columbus, Phoenix City, Opelika, everywhere looking for this girl. 3 days later, they get their first break. On April 25th, 2011, Yamisha's red Chevy Avalanche is found in the Columbus, Georgia Medical Center parking lot. So Nathan, he rushes to it and he starts looking around and he's seeing that there's some men's t-shirts and wife beaters in the seat. And then on top of that, the seat itself has been pushed all the way back. Now, Yamisha's a short little thing, so there was no reason for her to need to push the seat back. If anything, it would need to be up, okay? And why would she leave her truck there, of all places? Like, Nathan knew that something wasn't right. So the cops get called, and a detective, Michael Vargo, comes out, and he's looking around, and he confirms that, things that Nathan sees, that something is wrong. Now, her family knows that something is really wrong as well. So the cops, they go back to Yamisha's family and they're asking her mother, Edna, what all she can remember, hoping that it'll help locate her. And Edna shocks the shit out of them because she tells them that Yamisha's husband might have something to do with it. Her what? Her who? Say what now? Yeah, her husband. And so they like, what you mean? And she tells the cops about Ricky Thompson and how both he and Yamisha are still legally married this entire time. They never got a divorce. And so she's thinking, well, maybe Ricky got something to do with it. He used to be jealous of her back in the day. He was a mean and surly son of a bitch. So they go to Columbus, Georgia, and they holler at Ricky. And Ricky is telling them everything about how low down she was. Like, he don't even really seem too concerned that she's missing. Like, he don't seem to care, nothing. He's basically like, oh, fuck her. And they're like, Mr. Thompson, you do know she's missing. Like, don't you care? And he's telling the investigators flat out, y'all don't get it, man. That girl was a cheater. This girl did me dirty. She lied to me time and time again. I was done with her. I'm fucking done with her now. And so the cops are just kind of like, damn, like he has no kind of empathy, no kind of nothing, just fuck her, So they're like, okay. So they're still talking to, all of her friends and family. And one of Yamisha's friends talks about how Yamisha has started seeing this other guy, a military man named Rashad Maddox. Now, they hadn't been seeing each other long, but it turns out that the clothes that were in Yamisha's truck that had been found actually belonged to him. So investigators get the information on Rashad and they go and pay him a little visit. And like he's extremely cooperative. They ask him the same set of questions that they asked everybody else, but they're shocked to learn that Rashad was actually the last one to be seen with Yamisha alive. So he tells them that he saw her that Saturday night before she went home. Not only that, but he tells them that the shirts that they found belong to him. And it turns out it seems like they was getting a little bit of hot and heavy inside that truck. She might have been giving them the hot pocket a little bit. I don't know. And at first, he looks like a plausible suspect. But then when he tells them that the whole time they were together, Yamisha's phone was going off, they were like, oh, really? Do tell. Turns out she was getting phone calls and text messages, all of that. And the initials SD were popping up on the messages. And so him and Yamisha had decided to call it a night early because of the number of messages that she was getting. So when the officers hear the initials, they're like, SD, Sylvester Davis. So now they got to go back and look at those text messages. And it also means that they've got a lot of different avenues that they got to look at as to figure out what the hell happened to Yamisha. Because between Ricky and Baby Junior and now Rashad, somebody lying. The cops, they're, doing their investigation and they're following up, at all the places that Baby Junior said that he took Yamisha. Every place they went to, the employees remembered seeing them there. The cell phone store, Rainbow, and the restaurant definitely remembered them because of the fact that they were arguing so much. And so now they're like curious, like, okay, well, why didn't he tell us about that? But, I mean, it could be a number of things as to why he didn't say anything. Maybe it was embarrassment or, he didn't think anything of it. Couples do argue. So they go back to Baby Junior and they tell him about the information that they got. And he was like, oh, yeah, we were kind of arguing or whatever, but it was no big deal. And so they were like, well, hey, we need to search your car. So he consents almost too easily and gives them the keys to the Hummer. And they search it thoroughly, but they didn't find anything, like nothing, no prints, no blood, nothing. So they're right back to square one now. And despite everything, this weirdo is still helping to look for Yamisha. Like, he's cooperating and he's answering questions with the police and he's pleading to the public, please find my girl, find my baby. Now, weeks are going by and the searches are kind of like dwindling. But Yamisha's family, they're like, oh no, baby, we're not about to let this go. They're doing news stories and speaking with reporters. They bought a billboard. Anything that you could think of that would get exposure for Yamisha and trying to find her, they did it. Now, just so happens that right around mid-May, the Alabama Bureau of Investigations starts leaning in on an investigation that they've been working on involving a man named Jerry Wayne Foster. Jerry Wayne Foster was born April 25th, 1988, and was pretty much just a bad element. Now, Jerry was already in jail for the umpteenth time when the Alabama Bureau of Investigations came at him. So he's been in jail several times before for assault, robbery, rape. The Alabama Bureau of Investigations was monitoring him for a drug case that they thought he was, involved in. So when he finds out what's happening and he finds out he's facing some serious time, he's shooketh, okay? Like, this is some Fed type stuff. He knows that the charges that he's facing, so he's like, listen, all right, let me try to get some of this leverage here so I can get out of this. So he goes to the ABI and he tells them, listen, I may be able to help y'all solve a crime. I know where a body has been buried. And the agents are looking at each other like, what the hell is he talking about? And so they ask him, what body? What you talking about? But, Jerry plays it cool. He was like, listen, cut me a deal and I'm going to show you where a body is. Trust me. Y'all going to want to dig into this. All puns intended. And this is where I start to think.
No, you done fucked up, right? No. You know you done fucked up, right?
Because what you don't do is involve another person in your crime. Why would you ask somebody else to help you with a body or even tell them where the body is, you dummy? You get too many people in your business, bruh. Like, what were you thinking, man? On May 23rd, 2011, the Phoenix City Police Department and the ABI, they go to an area that's off of a main road. And they're driving for a good little minute when they come to this fork in the road. So they turn off and they see a bunch of tall grass and like this little walkway. They've got Jerry Wayne Foster in the car. He is like suited and booted, orange jumpsuit, cuffs, all of that. So Jerry tells them, okay, hey, you need to park here. We got to walk the rest of the way. So they park the car and they get Jerry out, handcuffs and all. And it's giving very much prison song. And he's like, all right, I'm going to take you out of where the body is. So they get to that little cutoff area and he walks them down about 200 or 300 feet. And like suddenly you can smell decomposition in the air. Like, it was a very strong and distinct smell. So when they get to the end of the pathway, there's this big mattress that's laying in a grassy area. And so the investigators are there and they see it and they remove the mattress. And right there is a human foot sticking up. So the cops are like, what the fuck, man? It's a whole body covered under a concrete slab. Like, they can tell it's a dead person and whoever buried this person, did a poor job of it. The body was pretty much almost unrecognizable. Like you could see the head and a torso, but everything was just a mess. So they get the slab off and they start getting prints and all of that. They get the coroner out and he's trying to determine the cause of death, but it's hard when the body has been festering for over a month. Like at most, he can tell that there were ligature marks around the neck. But, once the prints come back, they realize, okay, oh shit, Jerry Wayne was right. This body belonged to that of Yamisha Thomas. Now, he never said who it belonged to. He just said it was a body. When he told him, he was like, cut me a deal. I'm going to show you where there's a body. But the fact that they came right there, they were like, shit, this is Yamisha Thomas. So now the investigators have her body. But now there's another question. Who the hell did this? So they go to Jerry because he's the one that led them to the body. And they're questioning him. What do you know about this? Who did it? How did you know the body would be here? And off the bat, he lets them know, say, man, it wasn't me. I ain't do it. I just know that's Yamisha Thomas. That's my homeboy, old lady. And they're like, who's your homeboy? They already know who it is, but they wanted him to say it for them to hear it for themselves. And so Jerry Wayne Foster looks at them and he was like, oh yeah, his name's Sylvester Davis. He go by Baby Junior. That's my homie. Like, I know old girl, that was his old lady or whatever. I worked for him. I used to work for him at the detailing shop, which was true. He did. The only part that Jerry Wayne left out is that he was not only working at the shop, but he was moving weight for Baby Junior too. And he was also staying at the shop because he didn't have a place of his own. So now Yamisha's folks have her body and they can prepare to lay her to rest while the investigation continues. And on Saturday, June 3rd, 2011, Yamisha's body is laid to rest at the Progressive Funeral Home in Columbus, Georgia. Meanwhile, the investigators, they're asking all these questions. They're like, okay, Jerry Wayne Foster, how did this body get here? And Jerry is like, all right, I'm going to tell you what you need to know. So he goes on to tell them about how Sylvester called him and told him that he needed his help with something. Baby Junior goes and picks Jerry up and tells him that, oh, I need you to help me move a car. And, Jerry don't think anything of it. So he was like, all right, cool, bet, I got you. So he gets picked up, they ride out in Baby Junior's Hummer, and they get to Yamisha's red Chevy Avalanche. And again, she has personalized plates with her name on it. So, obviously everybody knew who it was. So Baby Junior tells Jerry that he needs him to drive the truck and follow him somewhere. Doesn't sound like a big deal to Jerry, so he agrees. So he hops in Yamisha's truck and he follows Baby Junior to this secluded area. They pull over and Baby Junior gets out of his Hummer and he opens the trunk and a female's foot comes out, rolling out of a rolled up blanket, and all Jerry Wayne sees is toenail polish. And he was like, Junior, man, what the fuck, man? And Baby Junior is sweating bullets. He was like, man, just listen, man. Look, shit got out of hand. Shit got out of control. I fucked up, man. I killed my girl. But yo, it was an accident. I wasn't trying to, man, but it just happened. Like, bro, I need you to help me bury her. And Jerry is looking at Baby Junior like he is insane. The fuck you mean help you bury her? Man, hell no. I ain't got shit to do with it. I don't kill. I may be a criminal, but I ain't a murderer. Baby, when I say Jerry Wayne Foster got the hell up out of there. So the cops are listening to all of this and, they don't know what's true and what's not true, but they do know that they're now having second thoughts about Baby Junior being so innocent. Like maybe he wasn't as concerned as he was letting on. So they start doing some digging on Baby Junior and Yamisha's relationship. And the more that they dig into his background, the more confirmation that they get that, damn, Jerry Wayne Foster is right. Like, I mean, why would this man lie about something like that? Actually, that's a stupid question. Of course he's going to lie. He's a criminal. But they use that, and then they go and look at his arrest record as it pertained to Yamisha, and then they see all of these charges for assault and battery. Not to mention, they get the cell phone records, and they see the pinging of the cell phone towers, and they see that pretty much he spent a good amount of time in the woods. And so, with all of this evidence, they go to Baby Junior's address and they arrest him. And Sylvester Davis Jr. is indicted and charged with Yamisha Thompson's murder because he violated his parole, by the way. Since he violated his parole by moving to Phoenix City, Alabama, he was denied bond and had to go back to prison to finish out that sentence while he was waiting on the trial. So, they had to let him finish out his sentence or whatever. And in October of 2013, the trial is underway, and Judge Albert Johnson is presiding over the case. Sylvester gets an attorney. This guy, Stacey Jackson, to represent him. And J. Maxwell Smith is the assistant district attorney at the time that's prosecuting the case. Now, surprisingly, the state relied solely on Jerry Wayne Foster's testimony, which was very risky because he's a criminal. He gonna do and say whatever he can to keep his ass out of jail. And they had a lot of circumstantial evidence. But, I've seen cases that have been convicted for less, so meh. So the prosecution says that Baby Junior bought her a new cell phone because he wanted to make sure that none of her little, side pieces had access to her, which is kind of true. But the prosecution used Baby Junior's cell phone as evidence because that's what they had him on that tied him to the murder that night. Like, they were able to ping him at those locations. And so they were able to pinpoint where he was and where his phone was pinging every time he moved. And the defense is arguing that all of the evidence presented was circumstantial at best, and there was nothing that actually tied him to the crime. They're also, looking at Baby Junior's prior, assault cases with Yamisha. And like I said, there were 7 of them. And then they also had the testimony of Jerry Wayne Foster. It was so funny watching the video of him on the stand. Like, oh, Jesus, that was hilarious. So the trial lasts about a week, and the jury is dismissed to deliberate. And after that, they come back and they find Sylvester Davis Jr. guilty of Yamisha Thomas's death. So on November 16th, 2013, he is sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, shortly after Yamisha's body was found, the youngest child, Quintavia, she turned 7. And one of her sisters, Denise, she said, I just know she wanted her mother there. I know she wanted her mother there because her mom always made them feel very special on a day-to-day basis. But definitely on their birthdays, she kind of went all out for them. That sounds familiar. That's what kids remember, man. They remember stuff like that. I go all out for mine. Mine get the birthdays. They get the big birthdays 1 through 10, 13, 16, and 18. So we ain't got that far yet. But yeah. And so, Denise said that it was her sister's love for her kids that made the family know that something was wrong. She was like, well, she wouldn't have abandoned her children. I, as a sister, might not hear from her for 2 days. Mom knows, she's going to hear from her every other day. But them daughters, they're going to hear from her every day, all throughout the day. Which makes sense because you go above and beyond for your kids. Sylvester is now inmate number 002-11672 at the William E. Donaldson Correctional Facility in Bessemer, Alabama. What really irked me is that after he got sentenced, when he was being walked out of there, this flabby, funky bastard got the nerve to say, I'll be back. Nigga, you ain't be back where? You ain't Arnold Schwarzenegger. You gonna be back? Back where? You might be getting hit from the back, but you ain't gonna be back on them streets. I think the fuck not. As to Jerry Wayne Foster, whew, child, he kept up his little streak of crime. He didn't catch any charges for that, but he definitely kept the crime going because after this, the most recent booking that I saw for him was September 20th of 2023 in Opelika, Alabama for burglary. So I guess he didn't learn shit. I'm sure he'll pop up again. Okay, something I found funny is that there is a petition on change.org involving Baby Junior. It says, Sylvester Davis found guilty with no evidence in Phoenix City, Alabama, Russell County on a murder charge and didn't receive a fair trial, nor was the case investigated right. A guy took police to a body almost a month later after a missing person report while Sylvester was locked up in Columbus, Georgia, and said Sylvester told him he did and showed him the body. The guy, Jerry Wayne Foster, told them this after he was caught while on the run from Tuskegee on charges and questioned about another murder, and he took FBI agents and police to the victim body and where the victim vehicle was. They said Foster was an informant, but they never used him at trial. He had charges dropped and got a bond after he gave police information, and he didn't get charged with nothing in Russell County where he took police to a body. Sylvester Davis was found guilty of reasonable doubt murder of her hearsay, and Jerry Wayne Foster is free on parole. They did a show on his case on TV One network called Fatal Attractions. You can look at it on YouTube. He had nothing to do with it. Okay, yeah. So you can tell whoever wrote this did not use Rosetta Stone, probably don't even know what that is. Okay? There was not one period in the whole bunch. And it is proof that the Alabama school system has failed these people. Okay? It is proof that not everybody should advocate on your behalf. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Yamisha Thompson and baby Junior Sylvester Davis. Okay? And now it is time for Fair or Foul, where we look at the justice system to determine if the sentencing that was given was indeed fair or if it was just some BS that's going to have us sitting back saying, what the fuck? So when it comes to Sylvester getting life in prison without parole, I am 100% happy with that and agree. His ass deserves to rot in prison for the rest of his life. Yes, she had other men interested in her, but that does not warrant murder. Yes, she may have entertained other men, but again, it does not warrant murder. And she kept going back to baby Junior's ugly ass anyway. Like, I don't know why. Honestly, I feel like it was the lifestyle that she was attracted to, knowing that, she had that financial security. But she didn't deserve to die. She didn't deserve to be with somebody that belittled her and made her feel less than. Especially somebody that put their hands on her. Because let's keep it a man, Sylvester was not that fine. Sylvester was not cute at all. One thing I can say is that I noticed that with these cases, for example, with this one, I got some of the information from an episode of Fatal Attraction. And let me tell you, the actors were much more attractive than the individuals that actually did it. Because the guy playing Baby Junior was much cuter than the actual Baby Junior. And I'm sorry, but I'm not about to go out of my way for somebody whose face looked like a seafood boil. Like this Jigglypuff character right here was not worth it to me, looking like one of them damn rubber ducks that you squeeze and the eyes bulge out. And I really feel like maybe it was the lifestyle. Like I said, it was the lifestyle she had that had to be it. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. She had that financial security for her kids. And, her daughters needed her. And it's this sad sack of laundry here, this bad built bitch, botched body. You took her from them because you were too jealous. Like, help me understand this. If you were supposed to be this big time kingpin and you got all this money and everything, you should be able to get any broad you want, don't you think? But you killed her because she was tired of your shit and tired of you putting your hands on her. And she found attention elsewhere. I personally would have preferred that you got that $42 cocktail because you've done this before. You pistol whipped her and you beat her to the point that you left her in a fucking landfill to die. Like, you thought about this shit. That's premeditated, my nigga. So you being in prison for the rest of your life is well deserved. I'm sure somebody is gonna love squeezing on them little man rolls of yours on all of that dough. And squeezing the life out of you like you squoze the life out of, is squoze a word? I don't know. Like you was squeezing the life out of Yamisha. If you claim that you can get all these women and do all of this, what was the point of killing her? Like, did you not think about her daughters? Y'all were living together. Y'all were supposed to be a family unit. Did they not mean anything to you? What was the reason to do something so drastic like that? Knowing the shit that you've done. What was the reason?
What was the reason?
Oh, I know the reason. Stupidity, selfishness, arrogance. Those are some of the reasons. Oh, and guilt. You felt guilty from what you had done to her time and time and time again, and you made her fall out of love with you. Again, Negro, even if she was cheating, it's so much pussy out here for you to grab. Go get some new pussy. The best way to get back at her is to take away that stability that she had. If you really felt like she was doing all of that and you really wanted to punish her, move out of the fucking house or get away from her and them girls. That'll punish her because she was used to that lavish, lifestyle with you, if you want to call it lavish. She was used to you taking care of her. She was used to the financial security. If you wanted to really hurt her, if you felt in your heart of hearts that she was out there fucking around on you, stop fucking beating her. Stop putting your hands on her. Stop treating her like shit. I'm not saying that cheating is the best way to, get over that, but damn, nigga, you ain't have to kill her. The minute that you suspect that she was cheating the first time, you should have left it alone, but you didn't. You put your hands on her. You trifling, sorry ass, sad sack of bullshit built like fucking Jigglypuff. Oh, that nigga made me mad. That's not cool. So you absolutely deserve to sit there and rot because you could have walked away and you chose not to. That is all for this bonus episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. You can follow the show on the various streams on Instagram and TikTok at Infamous One Podcast. That's a number one, by the way, not spelled out. And you can leave a review there. On X, it's Infamous One Pod, where you can also leave a review. On Facebook, you can join the private discussion group, the Infamous Ones discussion group, but please be advised if you don't answer the questions, you ain't getting in. How you gonna hate from outside of the club? You can't even get in. It's that simple. But once you get in, let's chop it up because we talk about the real in there and, we have a little fun. Come on in, sit down, tell us what you're sipping on, where you're from, all of that. Special announcement. Your girl's birthday is Wednesday. I am doing the 43 for 43 challenge. Yes, y'all. Now y'all know my age. I know I'm fine and all and don't look a day over 30, but I will be 43. So feel free to participate in the 43 for 43 and drop $43 to that good old Cash App for the infamous one. That's going to be $INFAMOUSONEPOD. The show streams on multiple streaming services like Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and so on and so on. So leave a review. It only takes a few seconds, and the reviews matter. Listen, no new reviews at this time since it's a bonus episode, but please make sure y'all are dropping those reviews, okay? Especially on Apple because I have not seen but like one in the last couple of months. So make sure you drop reviews, okay? Also, reminder, y'all, June 6th, 2026, the infamous Ones Who Done It will be held in Savannah, Georgia. Tickets go on sale Sunday, March 15th. That's this Sunday, March 15th. Tickets are going on sale and they are $35 each for the first day only. Y'all listen to me now. For the first day only, tickets will be buy one, get one free. But that is for 24 hours only, okay? So from midnight of March 15th to midnight or 11:59 of March 15th, buy one, get one free. After that, they are going to go back to $35 each, okay? One killer, one victim, and one $500 cash prize. Who did it? Find out on June 6th. There will be another live show in Dallas, Texas, December 19th, but information is ongoing at this time. It'll be available later on as time progresses or whatever, because I'm still putting that together, obviously. Make sure to follow the Black Box for new episodes because it's definitely a new one that dropped today. Duh. You can follow on whatever app you're listening to the show on. If you want to support the show, or if you're feeling the spirit, meaning that liquor that y'all been sipping on, because not me, click the link at the bottom of the screen from whatever app you're listening to this episode on and hit listener support to subscribe. Okay. You can also donate via the Cash App at $infamous one pod. That's $INFAMOUSONEPOD. Donations go toward court documentations, interviews, JPay, talking to these prisoners, all of that. And shout out to the popcorn donators and shout out to those that, if you choose to do the 43 for 43, thank you, boo. I'll make sure to mention you on Sunday's episode. Okay. If you have a case that you want to hear more on that you feel has been ignored in the Black community, if you want to inquire about ad space, or if you want to leave a review, send an email to infamousonepod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. Once again, people, please share, share, share. This podcast is growing by the day and it means the world, so keep sharing. Until then, y'all know what it is. I'm your girl Kay. Thank you for tuning into this bonus episode, and I will see y'all Sunday with a new one and one only. Okay? Stay mobbing, y'all. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay. Be sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.